Hey folks, I'm Rosie. That's my face. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about percussion, specifically grade 1 of the ABRSM Snare Drum syllabus. So I've been through and I've played a few of these pieces for you. I'm just going to have a little chat. Before you come to play your snare drum, make sure you're sitting down on a chair that's the right height for you. Your legs shouldn't be up around your ears, but they also shouldn't be too sloped downwards. So you just want to be sitting nice and relaxed. Make sure both your feet are on the floor. Or if you're standing, make sure you stand up straight. You want to be nice and relaxed, nothing too stiff. Let your hands and your arms do the work, nowhere else. You want to have your snare drum at the right height for you. That's different for everyone, but it should be around waist height. You want to be able to get your stick onto the drum, your arm form a nice curve. The little droplet of water was on your shoulder, should roll all the way down off the stick and to the centre. Make sure the snare is in front of you, that way you can play right over it. It gives a really different sound depending on where you play. So we want to make sure we've got a consistent sound with both of our hands. And drumsticks, make sure they're a pair. If one of them's all battered up or dog-chewed, you want to change those out for two sticks that are just the same. Everyone's got a different grip, but I like to make sure my finger and my thumb are in a line with the rest of my fingers, just floating down on top, holding it nice and secure. If you're doing the studies, you need to learn both of them, but the examiner will only pick one. Still, you've got to make sure you're comfortable with both. Study A is all about single strokes and paradiddles, so before you get to looking at it, make sure you set your metronome up and you're really comfortable with singles, doubles and paradiddles. It's always worth practicing the rudiments separately before you come to apply them in the studies. We're only at mezzo forte, a nice relaxed dynamic, not too loud, not too quiet. And every hit should sound the same. That's why it's so important to play on the same spot. We don't want one hand to be louder than the other. Ideally, there's no difference between the right and the left. We don't want to hear. So make sure you're working on getting both of those hands super balanced. Your flams should be crisp. They might be really far apart. Or they might be so tight together we can't hear them. Whatever that distance is, it's got to be right for you. And you should be able to get it consistent every time. Study B, we've got to get our doubles involved. A lot of people play their doubles, that's two with the same hand. The first one loud, the second one quieter. So you've got to do a lot of work in getting that second note just as important as the first. We've got a lot of single strokes, but don't panic. If you're playing fast, stay relaxed. Don't want to see any shoulders hunching up and fists clenching in. Instead, keep breathing and that speed will come. If you can't do it at this speed yet, just set your metronome a little bit slower, practice it, increasing 1 or 2 BPM every day. Soon you'll be up to speed. Tandem. When you're playing a duet, you've got to make sure you listen to the other person. You want to be about the same volume, and even though you're playing different instruments, they should sound similar to the ear. So if your friend is playing the floor tom and they can only play to a certain dynamic, your snare drum, which might be more piercing and louder, needs to come down to match their volume. We've got lots of crescendos through semigraders here, So make sure they're really precise. We don't want to hear it all quiet and then suddenly loud. For example, in bar 17, we don't want to hear pianissimo and suddenly mezzo forte. Each one of those 7 quavers should be one step louder than the one before. In the opening bar, you need to bounce off your partner, so make sure you count in together. It can be difficult not playing the downbeat, that's the first beat of the bar, but work together to show that beat for yourself in some way. Or. Any small motion can help you there to make sure that you're playing in time together. And have fun with it. Why is it called Tandem? Step and march. This is taken from the drumline tradition. It's very much a solo snare drum. If you see the drumline, loads of drummers all surrounded by other drummers, and sometimes they've got people marching around beside them. So make sure you go and look up a drumline after this. In bar 9, we've got those accents. The first one's on the beat, so expect that. But make sure you really ping out that last beat of the bar as well. Da, beat, ba, ba. That's what makes it feel funky and makes you want to dance. Here we've got some crescendos through 2 bars, so make sure they build up. The final note is a flam with an accent on, so make sure you have fun. You finished. Mind the gap. Here we're in 3/4 time. You may well be more used to 2/2 or 4/4. That's where things feel even and go up and down. But in our 3, it's almost like a dance. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That big downbeat gives us something to jump off of and keep flowing through. If you're not used to playing in 3, you may feel less comfortable, but it's a great opportunity to start practicing. Pop your metronome on, just count up to 3. Then you can start putting a clap on the downbeat, and soon 3 will feel just as easy as 2 or 4. We want to keep all these rhythms really smooth, so make sure your hands are moving exactly the same way. And don't get tripped out by those rests. It's easy to slip back into 2/4 if you're not super used to it. So make sure you're counting inside your head all the time. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You're not counting out loud. Sometimes you might skip out those rests. Often rests are the place that people rush. If something's going to speed up, it's because you don't leave enough time for the gap. So breathe through it, stay nice and relaxed, you'll make it to the end.